If you have ever been to France, you'll know that not everyone speaks American. Where we would say French fries, they say pommes frites. Crazy. But not everybody realizes that science has its own way of speaking. Like your grandmother from Wales, sometimes our dear friend science talks to us in a way that we don't understand. Science speaks a language too, and you might need a dictionary to understand it. Languages have these things called grammar, semantics, and so forth, and they apply to the individual words we know and love. In American, we can describe sunsets in a variety of different ways. The sunset was beautiful. It was sublime. It was a conflagration of fire reminiscent of Hera and Zeus's wedding night. But to the scientist, such descriptive verbosity is verboten, as our Hun friends would say. He or she would be content to simply say, the position of Sol on the horizon caused a banding of red to orange light in the western vault of the sky. The language of our old friend science is what we would call strict. Science is like an old-fashioned English teacher, replete with cane and dodgy moustache. Science's descriptive simplicity, relying on a standard and small canon of words, is what makes science the most exciting and progressive system of knowledge we have today. Its Dictionary of the Simple contains such fundamental terms as electron, neutron, and the family favorite, the proton, among many others. But we don't often talk in scientific terms. We don't greet our friends with, "Hail, massive subatomic particles expressed as a macroscopic entity, well met." We don't say to our significant others, "Your alpha sites are exciting my beta complexes." Instead, we use vaguer terms, like those borrowed from the much maligned social sciences, the systematic study of everything science finds distasteful. Social science terms are those like culture, ethnicity, and so forth. Such words are considered vague to the scientist. Whilst we know what an atom is made up of, it is hard to define exactly what makes up a culture, a race, or even what makes an individual distinct. For some, this indicates that a reduction of the terms of the social sciences to the statement of facts found in the natural sciences may not just be hard, but quite possibly impossible. One reason to believe that such a reductionist move cannot be made can be illustrated by reference to man's favourite topic of study: women. Once upon a time, it was true that, universally, women did not have the vote. In those shameful times, women were unable to express themselves in elections. They were not allowed to help guide Western civilization to the height it has reached today. Yet, as well we know, many cultures have seen the wisdom and superiority of the female sex, and have granted women the ability to elect peers to the mantle of statehood. Thus, the social fact of women having the vote can be called an accidental regularity. Accidental because the only constraint to having or not having the vote is social context. Contrast this with the laws of nature as discovered by the scientific endeavour. Such laws such as gravity and electromagnetism are examples of exceptionless regularities. They have to be true universally and are not subject to change. They apply everywhere and at all times, no matter the context. Thus social facts are context-driven, while scientific facts are not. Back to you, John.
It may turn out that the language of science is inappropriate when it comes to the study not only of areas like the social sciences, but also things like the paranormal. Imagine, if you will, a special language that describes both our friend science and its unsightly cousin, social science. It would contain not just the terms of science and the social sciences, but also some special terms that would tell you how to convert social science terms to those of the natural sciences, and vice versa. It would be a complex lexicon, a sophisticated thesaurus, and a superior grammar guide. The language could be too complex to be ever known, or might even require certain experiences of phenomena we might never actually acquire to be properly formulated. Perhaps some of these claims of the paranormal might rest upon our scientifically obtained accounts of knowledge being incomplete, or perhaps such experiences can only be systematically expressed by this more complex language. Matthew.
That we experience the paranormal seems uncontestable. What the paranormal is, however, is another matter entirely. Maybe the paranormal seems strange because the simplicity of scientific theories excludes the complexity of paranormal theories. Maybe science is just a description of best fit, and paranormal phenomena just doesn't fit into science's account. Or perhaps we need a bigger language to handle wacky old paranormal, a language less sedate and authoritarian than that of science. Whatever the case, don't discount the paranormal just yet, science. So, the paranormal. It might be wacky, it might be weird, it might not even be all that American, but it seems here to stay. Possibly for the rest of your life, like a fed mother-in-law from Greece, or maybe just someone who has popped over from London for the weekend. Whatever the case, science, keep an eye out for our friend Mr. Paranormal. He wants some attention too. And what's next for the scientific endeavour, you might ask? Whilst I can't officially say, officials from Hamburg recently leaked this picture. Thank you and good night.